Alik, it's an absolute about your business, about your ministry, about your family, your background, about who you are, about your business, about your ministry, about your
wishes, hopes, and aspirations as I did. So, thank you.
We met on a camping trip at Sun Village Resort.
Remind me. Sun Village Resort.
Sun Village Resort.
Future add another single family home. Maybe has similar wishes, hopes.
Alik, it's an absolute pleasure to sit down with you and have a real life conversation about your background, about who you are, about your business, about your ministry, about your family, and all the great things that you've been able to accomplish. I've had the privilege of knowing you for I think the last 4 years now. We met on a camping trip at Sun Village Resort.
Remind me. Sun Village Resort.
Sun Village Resort, you still had the camper. And I just bought my first duplex. Joshua Freed was running for office. I remember that's what we talked about. Do you remember? You remember? So that was a good moment. So we've been able to do some good business together. I've had the privilege of listing some of your homes. Easiest transactions that I've had.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Because you deliver a great product, finished product. And so I'd love to introduce you to the rest of the world, who you are.
Hello, world.
What kind of companies you run, and exactly what you do in the business world.
Well, we'll see how much of a real conversation this is going to be. Hopefully I can not only sort of tell my story, but also be maybe useful for somebody that's maybe has a similar story, maybe has similar wishes, hopes, and aspirations as I did. So thank you for allowing me to be on this platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inspirational to a lot of young people because I think a lot of young people, they don't realize that they can make it. And we live in the greatest country in the world. We live in a country of opportunity where both you and I are immigrants. And right now we're sitting in probably like a $3 million combined property. And it's crazy that that's something that you've been able to accomplish. So.
Even though it may not look like a $3 million asset, but there's a backstory to this.
So while we're here, tell me the backstory. What's the backstory of this property that we're in?
We can tour it a little bit later, but the backstory is it's in the city of Buckley. This is a total of 10 acres, 2 separate parcels. There's a brand new home that's about 700 square foot Rambler, brand new, built in 2020. We've bought it. It was not complete, so we're completing it. And then it has a lower parcel, which is where we're sitting in. This was just a shop, but since it's 2 separate parcels, in order to maximize the profits, what we're doing is we're going on, through permitting with the city of Buckley, adding a septic system in the back, and we're going to turn this into a barn-dominium. Barn-dominium is barn/a condominium. So this is going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, roughly about 1,200 square foot apartment with a huge shop in the front. The barn, and you still get 5 acres with a potential to, in the future, add another single family home, which is going to bring another probably, I don't know, $1.2 million in this area. So it's very creative. It's a longer process, but it's a creative way to maximize the potential of the property that we've purchased here. So this is in the demo stage. So we're sitting in sort of living kitchen area that will, in the future, have a big, huge island where we're sitting literally now. Nice open concept kitchen, bedrooms, family room, all that stuff. So cool little project. It's a first barn-dominium for me. I usually like modern styles. This is going to be more of a country, more of rustic Joanna Gaines type feel, you know? So I think my designer is going to have a blast with this one.
So how many homes do you flip a year?
So annually we flip anywhere from 25 to 30 homes a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we do quite a bit of a volume every year, and it goes up and down. I think our peak year was close to 40.
Wow.
This is when the market was really hot and we were able to sort of run through these homes very quickly. And the deals were out there. Right now, deals are sort of slim. So I don't even know if we're going to get to 30 this year. I think we'll probably stay in the 20s, like maybe low to mid 20s. But what we've started doing is a lot of these value adds. So even though we're doing less volume, I'm certain that our gross sales will be up this year because of the exit strategies and the price points that we're flipping this year.
Yeah, so you're not just looking to do volume, you're looking to do quality, you're looking to make sure that you maximize your investment. And
Correct.
you're doing less but making more, which
Correct.
every single business person wants to do. Everybody wants to do less but make more. So how big is your company? Is it you that's running 20 to 30 properties, flips?
So no, there's a whole team of us. It's not just me. It used to be just me when I started, and I think that year, numbers might be off, don't quote me on it, but I think by myself, the second year and the highest year right before I hired my first project manager, I think I closed 11 deals by myself. So I was running all those jobs all by myself, with obviously subcontractors and crews and stuff like that, but managing, delivering, dumpster run or dump runs, everything was done all by myself. So when my guys tell me they can't do 3 projects at a time, I said, lies. I'll show you that it's done. It's doable. So, but right now we have a full staff, if you will. We have some labor guys on payroll. We have a person that delivers our dump trailers, materials, things like that. Also have 2 project managers on staff that manage these projects, a bookkeeper, a marketing person, a videographer. There's like a whole team of us now that is working and so we can continue producing and continue making these things happen and these deals happen. Also, another portion of it that's not Caliber is I also have a business partner that has a separate company. We have a separate company together, Elevate, and this is a story of where a person was a project manager with Caliber, but showed himself that he can do bigger and better things. And so we've partnered up, and now he also with me flips. So even though he's my business partner, but he runs the back end, I run sort of the finance, the office, the management portion of it, but he runs the day-to-day management of the property. So that's sort of our team. I don't even remember exactly. I think we're like 11-person staff, 11 people or so.
Wow, that's really impressive. A lot of people, they get to probably like 3 or 4 employees, and that's where they can't just take on more because they find themselves wearing too many hats. But it's great that you found a partner, somebody that's helping you expand the business and grow the business. So I'm very curious, what were you doing? And before we tell the story of how you got your first flip, how that conversation even started, what were you doing before? Were you a big business guy doing something else?
So my background is I started as a maintenance guy. Well, my very first job was I was cutting lawns. So I was 15 to 16 years old. We lived in a mobile home park. A lot of people, or people that I know, still live in that mobile home park. But I was good friends with the manager, or our family was, and he had certain people in the mobile home park would have him cut their lawn. And then he was getting older, and he's like, you know what, I got this younger guy that he'll do it. So I had like 12 or 13 different mobile homes that I was cutting bi-weekly or bi-monthly and collecting a paycheck from that. So that was my first labor job. And then I went on, worked for Safeway for a little bit. I thought I was going to make a career out of Safeway, maybe, you know, become a manager. Managers do get paid pretty well at Safeway, by the way. But that wasn't my thing. And I had, my first job was a maintenance tech. When I turned 18, I started working for a company as a maintenance tech. And also I didn't know much about construction or what to do as a maintenance, how to fix a washer, how to fix anything. But that supervisor trusted our family, because we sort of knew each other, and he believed in me that I was, you know, had the work ethic. So I started being maintenance guy, and I climbed the ladder. Eventually, in 3 years, I became from a regular maintenance tech to tech 2, tech 1. Then I became an assistant. Then I became a supervisor. And before I quit, I was offered a job. Those of you that are in Seattle, you probably know the Braverin. They just finished that building, and I was offered a job at the Braverin. They offered me $32 an hour, I believe, which at that time, that was
good money.
This is 2011. We're just out of the recession. And people were making, I don't know, I think tile guys were like $3 or $4 a foot at that time, and everybody was making very little money. But I had a stable job at $32 an hour, but it wasn't my thing. Like, I did not like the corporate aspect of, you know, being an employee. I sort of knew and understood that I could do more, could do better. So me and a friend of mine, also another supervisor, maintenance supervisor, we both quit at the same day.
Wow.
And we started a construction company.
Oh, wow.
We started a construction company, and what we did, we went into the field that we knew. We knew apartments.
Okay.
So we knew a bunch of managers from the past, a bunch of regional managers, a bunch of supervisors and regional supervisors. So what we did is we ended up quitting on the same day. This is about a week or two after my daughter was born.
Oh, wow.
In 2012.
So big risk.
Huge risk. And I was like, you know, it was very unstable.
And, you know, I just want to add, like, pressure creates diamonds. And I think too many people don't put themselves in those positions where they have no option but to succeed. And that's the option you were in, right? You just had a kid. You just left a stable job.
Exactly.
You had to make it work. So go ahead. You guys started?
Exactly. So we started, before we actually even quit, we talked, you know, obviously to a few regional managers, and they're like, yeah, we got a couple of jobs for you guys, you know, here's what you can do, give us a price. So I sort of went on Google, got some sort of a estimate form, sent them a price, they approved it. And another thing this is the first time that I was actually even involved with a flip, is that same regional manager, she was like, hey, me and my husband, we have some cash. We heard about this flip game. We want to try it. Like, would you guys mind being our general contractor? And then we'll split the profits, sort of 50-50. And we're like, sure, we'll try it. So they went and bought a house at the auction. So we started with that project, even though we had sort of contracts sort of in the pipeline. But when we quit, the day after we quit, we went and we started working on that flip. So that house still stands in Auburn, sort of not downtown, around Game Farm Park. I drive by it, not often, but I drive by it once in a while just to see.
That was your beginning point of your...
The beginning point where I even got the taste of flipping. And here's the taste that it left in my mouth. Because we worked there for 3 months straight, 6 days a week, 10, 12-hour days. It was a terrible house. It was horrible. Like, I can't even begin to explain how bad the house was. But
you made it good, though, right? Because the owners might be watching now.
We made it phenomenal because it's still standing. So, so it was in a terrible condition. But we ended up flipping it, but the market wasn't still, the market didn't really appreciate
Oh no.
what we did, and the price point didn't reflect all the work that we did. So what ended up happening is, after it being on the market for a couple months, we ended up selling it, and we all made $1,600 each.
Wow.
And this was probably, for the investors, this was probably around $300,000 investment.
Wow.
They paid all cash and all that. So this was about $300,000 investment, and we all went home with $1,600. So you got to understand that I had a little bit of money in reserve, but this was our first job. So at this point, all my savings are tapped out. Like, we're literally running on fumes, and I'm waiting for this house to close, and then we get a $1,600 check, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So, but luckily, thank God, we had jobs already lined up that we, agreed on to doing before we started this project. And so we that got the wheel rolling, because our first job was to demo a pool.
Oh, okay.
Never done that in my life. Didn't know how to use the equipment, but we ended up renting some equipment and watched some YouTube videos, called some buddies that did demo, like, what do we start? And literally went to the city and say, hey, how do you want us to do this? Explain to us. So, but we did that job. It was a $22,000 job or $24,000 job that really helped us to sort of kick this off, because we spent about 4 days there, obviously lived there in the hotel. This was in Bellingham. So that sort of helped us to kick off this construction company and sort of keep going. Then we kept growing and growing and growing, and there was a point where, after a few years of growth, we had about 13 employees and then other subcontractors. Wow. And what we were doing is, we were general contractors for an investor that was flipping apartments.
Oh wow, so big time projects.
Right.
Yeah.
So we would have 4 or 5 projects going at the same time, anywhere from 50 units to 450 units. And so our job would be to run the whole project. What we would do is, we would, give them, before they even purchase it, we would do due diligence with them. We would send them all the pricing on all the budgets that they want. So we would renovate the office, renovate the interiors, exteriors, everything we would do, except for, trade jobs that we didn't want to take on.
So let me ask you this. Just going back to, you guys started the business, you made $1,600 after 3 months. Why didn't you give up? Why didn't you give up and just go back to making $32 an hour? That was a great salary back then, and more stability for your family probably in the early 2010s. Why didn't you give up? What is it?
First of all, I had a partner that he wouldn't give up. So first of all, I had a partner that wouldn't give up. So he was always motivating me, including himself, to keep going, and he understood, because he also came from a construction background. For me, this was all new, but he was building homes in 2004, 5, 6. Then he lost a bunch of homes because of the recession, became a maintenance guy. Then he was the one that was like, hey, I believe in this, we can do this. So the partner that I had, but also me, myself, understanding my own character, that I'm not a corporate person. I didn't like the bureaucracy. I didn't like the politics that's happening in the corporate world often has. And I sort of wanted to build something for myself. I wanted to work with my hands at that point, and I wanted to grow and not just be stuck. And I understood that becoming a maintenance supervisor again, that's peak. That's who are you going to become after that? You can climb the corporate ladder, but I understood that that's not my thing. So, and it also helps when you have no other choices. Not that I burnt bridges with the other companies, but that wasn't a choice for me. Like, I put an end to that time in my life. I said that I want to be an entrepreneur. I would like to sort of control my time and be able to grow. So a lot of those factors helped me not to quit, not to give up, and it's sort of my go-to character, I think, and that has a lot to do with not giving up. Like, if you give me if you give me an answer of a no, that just means I need to figure out other ways how to present it to you so you say yes. Or if someone says, no, this is not going to happen, that's sort of a challenge to me. Let me prove it to you that it will happen. So a lot of things, I guess, come into
the reason why you didn't give up.
Into the reason why I didn't give up.
The reason why you didn't give up. So you went into commercial renovations. You guys were doing big projects. And when did you do your first flip by yourself?
So
tell me about that experience.
This is where the God moment comes in. And this is where God interferes into my life and shows me that He has greater things for me. And He doesn't just want me to be a business owner, but He wants me to serve Him. I was a youth leader before I got married. Then I got married, started my business. Like I said, Esther was born, my daughter was born, and I got too busy for ministry. So I stepped down as a youth leader, and my pastor kept calling me back to ministry. But I kept telling him, business, family, young kid, young baby, like I don't have time for this. So as I continued to grow in business, God continued showing me in multiple different ways, multiple different investments that failed throughout that time. He continued showing me that this is not what I want you to just use your gifts for. It's not just for business. I need you to work for me. And so when I realized that finally, through certain events that happened in my life, I needed more time. When you run a business, even with a partner, but when you have certain responsibilities, when you have 13 employees plus subcontractors, so managing probably 50 people at a time, you don't have time. I would leave my house at 7, come back 7, 8 o'clock, barely see my kids because they're already sleeping, and then start all over again. Thank God that we had at least the weekends off. We had a strict rule where we didn't work weekends. But in order for me to be in the ministry, I needed more time. And when I started doing research, and actually I got to give a shout out to Vasily Stepan, because he was the first guy, and Vlad Prohor. We met at a restaurant with Vasily, because Vlad was like dabbling in this idea of maybe trying to flip. And then I came with, and that's the first time I heard about flipping. Meaning, not the first time. I knew what flipping was.
First time you can do it.
First time when I was able to, someone put a deal in front of me and said, here's what we can do. And actually showed me the numbers and figured out, because when we did the flip with the investor, I had no idea about hard money, how to do it, how to underwrite the loan, where to get the deal, nothing about wholesaling, nothing. I just understood the construction and we just did a job. So when I was trying to find more time, this is when I met Vasily, and this is when we sort of started talking about maybe looking at some deals. So in 2017, I want to say, 2017 is when I bought my first flip. I bought my first flip with Vasily, and I wanted to be fair to my business partner, because we sort of do all of our business ventures we did together. And I came to him, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about trying this flip game, are you in? And he sort of had still the fear, and he remembered the time when he lost a bunch of properties in 2006 and 7. And he's like, I don't think it's the right time. I'm not into it. So he didn't go with me. He didn't agree. And I didn't have all the money that I needed. So ended up. Well, no, I actually did. That was all the money that I had. So
all the money.
Instead of
take all the money that you have.
And this is another time when I was all in into something that I didn't know. So collected all my money that I had. I went all in, bought that property. Bidzilya helped me figure out what hard money was, how to fund it. I had no construction loan at that time, so I funded my own construction. We bought a little property in Renton, in good location, and when we started working on it, it was all fun and games. It was great. I got my dad, my father-in-law came in, helped me out, demoed it. Even my brother came in. We sort of cleaned it up. Then I started working. Bidzilya connected me with a general contractor that would also do a lot of the work for me for a really good price. And we started working and this and that. And we decided to go on vacation as a family. So we left on vacation, had a good time with friends, and then we come back. And this is like Monday morning, so I'm coming to work, loaded up the Sprinter with like kitchen doors, like everything is like just finished work. And I pull up to the house, and it was like gloomy day in Washington. I pull up to the house, and I'm like, hold on, something's off. The roof is missing.
What?
Like literally, I was like, and as I'm driving up, it's a long road, and as I'm driving up, I don't see the roof. I'm like, that's weird. Was there a wind? Like, did the roof blow off? So I pull up, and as sort of the clouds clear, and it's like the house burned down. 2 days prior to me coming to the house, it burned down. The roof is completely gone. There's only 4 walls, and we were about 60% complete with the project, and the house completely burned down. So that was my first experience with
So
a flip.
did insurance at least cover it, or what?
So not to make the long story
short,
long, we'll make it short. I was underinsured.
Oh no.
So the insurance only paid out $130,000, and I paid for the house without the construction costs and everything that I already accrued. I was in about $280. Insurance paid out $128 or $127, $130.
Oh wow.
So I had $130,000 to pay
rebuild the house,
to rebuild the house, but there's like no way. It's impossible. There's nothing, like only 4 walls were left.
So another God moment, probably, huh?
Well, it was a God moment because it was a miracle moment. It wasn't like, hey, you were doing something wrong. It was like, at that time, that situation felt like it was the end of the world. I thought, that's it. Like, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. But what I did is I ended up pulling equity out of my house. And what I did is I got an architect. We worked on doing an addition because I was like, if I'm going to do this, might as well do it right. Mm-hmm. So we designed an addition. Then we submitted all the documents to the city, and it takes forever. So I'm like, well, I still have some money left. So what do I do with that money? Like, even though I still had my construction company running in the background still, but I'm like, okay, I need to do something with this money. So I went out and bought another flip.
So the fire didn't stop you, yeah?
The fire didn't stop me. The fire was sort of I would even say, and I'll get to the end of the story, but the fire was a trampoline to a different level of flipping.
A little fire starter for you. Yeah.
It was literally kindling for my flip, because if I had my flip business, because if I had X amount of money, and in order for me to scale, it would take years. Mm-hmm. But that flip, sure, it took a little while. It took about 16 months for us to get the permits, to get everything done, complete, and sold. But that flip was the most profitable project until about 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow.
So that project, and mind you, this is 2018 by now, 19-ish, somewhere around there, 2018. And so this project was the most profitable. We're in 2024 until about a few months ago. So that was sort of a trampoline that helped me, year 2, 3 to flip 11, 15, 20, 25, 20, 30, and so on and so forth. And eventually when I started doing 3, 4, 5 flips, I decided that I was gonna sort of relieve and sell off the 50% that I owned in the other company for a very fair price. It wasn't like millions of dollars. So I sort of sold those shares, and I started doing full-time flipping homes. I started flipping homes full-time after I sold those shares. And that sort of helped me relieve some days and some hours in the day, because as you know, flipping homes, you don't have to be there 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
You can be there 6 hours one day, 4 hours another day, and then do a couple errands another day, and then you can free up some time because you have subcontractors and people that are responsible if you choose the right contractor.
If you know how to do it right. Yeah. Nobody can do it right. And one thing I want to say about you, Alik, is everybody thinks flipping is very easy. That it's this thing, you come in and you throw some paint on the walls, you put in a new kitchen, you're going to sell 3 days over asking, 80,000 over. Who cares if you get something wrong? It'll all be corrected. Inspections are going to pass, but you do it really well of all the people. And your example is very rare because you've been able to scale it. Some guys, yes, they do 2, 3, 4, 5 flips, but when you do 30, it's a completely different ballgame, completely different level that you've gotten yourself to. And I think we want to do a part 2 of this interview. And there's a couple more questions that I want to ask about the business and about the future. So let's get to part 2.
Sounds good.